Welcome to the Grueling Truths Boxing Legends Show, brought to you by ReplenishingCareTechnologies.Inc.com and Gridiron Mo. Check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. I'm your host for the Boxing Legends Show, Mike Goodpaster, and today we have a special guest. He was a member of the 1968 United States Olympic boxing team, fought for the world title 4 times. Help me welcome to the show former welterweight contender Armando Muniz. How you doing, Armando?
Hi, how are you, Mike? How's everything going for you?
It's going great. So tell me a little bit about your life as a kid. I know you moved to El Paso when you were 6 from Mexico. You want to tell us what it was like for you growing up and how you fell in love with boxing?
One of the things I can remember about being a kid there in El Paso is I didn't speak very much English yet, So that was hard to get accustomed to that, to not. But I learned English pretty fast, though, I did. And they had no English learner classes. there was no ESL in those days, And so, so I remember that being part of the development into a younger kid that was an American kid by that time, And then of course all we watched was TV, and there was no Spanish TV, so we learned a lot of English by watching TV also, And so anyway, and you just learn because you want to learn, of course,
Yeah. So what got you interested in boxing?
My parents, my dad used to get together with his brothers and nephews and stuff like that, and who were older than me, of course, And they'd watch these fighters from Mexico, and they would they'd scream and yell and say, "No, that's the way, that's how you fight." This is how guys do it when the favorite fighters are fighting, And so it turned out that some of these guys were actually pretty good fighters and stuff, So anyway, and I was growing up, but as a kid, you could tell by the look on my face, or by the look of my body, I was never going to be one of these tough guys. I was just a little pussycat. That's what I think of myself now. And so I think that I was trying to impress my dad that I was tough. That I wasn't just I was tough. I could take it. I could step up to it and be a man. The thing my dad always said, "Pórtate como un hombre," behave like a man,
Yeah.
And so I want to find out how do I do it. So one of them, it was I came the fights, I saw him saying that, the guy that stands out and takes punches and fights back, he's a man, So one day I saw a notice in the El Paso paper, El Paso Times or whatever, and it was a little story on the upcoming Golden Gloves, So and then it said on there, and we're looking for entrance into the Golden Gloves. So if you want to fight, just send in the application and blah blah blah, So geez, that'd be nice. I'll go to the fight, I'll be in the fight, So I sent it in, and
So how did you prepare for your first competition?
Not being near a gym or not knowing how to go train, I knew that you had to do some kind of speed bag stuff, a heavy bag stuff. So I found a heavy bag around the house. There's some bulky bag. I filled it up with old clothes and stuff. I hung it up on the tree, and I practiced there. And I shadow boxed a lot, And so then that's all I did. And then so I did a lot of running in school, And so I thought that was it. I shadow boxed a lot, and my friends were saying, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm gonna box. I go, "You're not gonna box. You're full of crap, To a kid, And so anyway, then it came the date, and my name came out of the paper. Armando Muniz was going to fight Tony Ramos and blah blah blah, And there, all of a sudden, I got excited about it. I'm going to be in the Golden Gloves. Geez, I'm me. Who's Armando Muniz? So anyway, so it really did a lot to help my ego go up, me. And then, but I still had to prove to my dad, though. See. So when it came time to find
that first competition and first fight go?
Well, it didn't go too well. The thing that I did is I never backed off. See, that's the whole thing. I never backed off, and so I did train enough to last the 4 minutes of the fight in the Golden Gloves, and or whatever it is, 5 minutes, And I took quite a few shots, but I also gave back a few shots, And the people were on their feet most of the fight, And it was a great fight in the sense, I didn't win it, but the people will remember me more than the other guy probably, because of the the fight that I gave, So anyway, that was my first fight, and what do I know? But all it did was after the fight gets over, my dad comes up to me, picks me up, and helps me, and goes, "That's the way you do it, son, like a man," you know. And that did right then. I found me a new business, a new thing that I'm gonna look forward to, you know.
Yeah, that made it worth it right there, even though you got your butt
kicked.
Oh, heck
yeah. And from that day on, believe it or not, my dad never spanked me from that day on.
Yeah.
I swear he never
spanked. Should have fought a few years earlier, huh?
I know that. I know that. Oh, before that, I took some beatings. I tell you, you know, he wasn't the nicest. He wasn't the nicest father in the world, but he meant well. But you know.
All right, so
yeah.
When you get to about the age of 18, 1968, you get a draft notice from the United States government. What are your thoughts when you get that notice? Because then you got to think, I'm done boxing probably if I've got to do this.
All these years prior to that notice coming, I mean, you follow the news. You're in school. You're in college. You're doing this. You're doing work to pay for your college and stuff like that. And you get this notice, and I go, what the hell? I mean, I know one of these days I'm going to go, but not now. I'm like, what? Can't they just know that I want to finish college, you know? And so I call up and they said, no, your name's come up, your name's up, you got to go, you know? So you're not going to be off the draft, you know? So they didn't change. I couldn't change my A1 to a student clarification there. And so sure enough, I knew it was going to come. So I waited, and sure enough, right before my 20th birthday, I got a draft notice saying, welcome, you're now part of the U.S. Army, you know. And I go, wow. So I had a reporting date to do, and I had about like a month and a half to go for it, you know. So I said, oh my God, what do I do now, you know? So I'm going to the service, and I'm imagining everything. I'm going to be sent to war like everybody else is being sent to war. And I had a couple of friends in school that had been in Vietnam and never came back, you know, already, you know.
Yeah.
And so here I am in my second year of college, whatever, and I'm trying to finish school, but now I gotta go to the Army. Do I come back? What do I do? What's gonna happen? You know. So, and then the other thing too, I had a girlfriend, and so I said, what do you want to do? I said, what do you mean? I mean, do you want to? If I don't come back, I mean, it's okay with me. You can get married whoever you want, you know. But you know. So she goes, no, I want to get married before you leave. You know. So we did. We hurried up and got married, and a week before went to Mexico, Chihuahua, to show my hometown in Chihuahua. Before I left, you know, and at least she'd have something about the family, you know. But anyway, so I came back and I left, and there it is, and I'm in the Army, and then it just happened to be that I got in because it turned out that at about that time somebody found out about me being inducted, some friend of mine. And he contacted somebody in the Department of the Army, and sure enough, the Army said, well, if he's got this going for him, then we're going to let him go to the boxing team, you know, before sending him out to boot camp, you know. So I go appear over there in Fort Ord over here, and they pulled me out before everybody went out to boot camp. And I asked the guy, what's going on here? I go, you're going to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I go, what? What's over there? Did I have another boot camp over there? No, you're going to go to some, let's see. You're going to some boxing stuff, you know. Oh, my gosh, that's great, you know. and when I get over there at Fort Campbell, I asked the guy there in charge, I go, Coach Pat Nappy, what happens if I've been sent here to represent the Army or whatever and to win? If I don't win the All-Army and the All-Service and then later on I hear the Olympic trials, what happens? I go, we go to Vietnam, real simple. I go, put me. I'm going to win this thing, you know. I ain't going to Vietnam. So sure enough, and we had to fight out. I won the All-Army. I won the Inner Service. And then, incredible, I went to the Olympic trials in Ohio, Canton, Ohio. And, I mean, who the hell had ever heard of Armando Muniz, you know? There was a kid named Jesse Valdez out of Houston, Texas, that was renowned welterweight. He had won the previous Olympic trials, but he was too young to go, right? So there he is. Yeah. And in the semifinal, I knocked him out. And then I had the big fight, the last fight, and I beat this guy from Philadelphia, Boogaloo Watts. You know, I beat him, and he was about a foot taller than me. But I was. That
was the same Boogaloo Bobby Watts that had the fights with Marvin Hagler later on in the 70s.
That's the same one. Yeah. It's the same one.
It's weird how stuff works out, huh? You're afraid you're going to go to Vietnam, and actually it ended up being the best thing for your boxing career to be drafted.
It was, and then I hate to say it, but in this way I served my country. See, I did my time in the Army. They wanted me there, and I asked a general, or a commander there, is this bad that I'm doing this because I like boxing, but you like boxing, you do it well enough for us to want you here, okay? So don't worry about that. You are doing what the Army wants you to do. I go, okay, because somebody told me that I'm slipping by doing this boxing thing and not going to war. I go, hey, you just do what the Army tells you, okay? And so I did. They want me to fight, so I'll fight, And
so what was the experience like to represent your country in your former country, Mexico City, in 1968?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people ask me, well, aren't you born in Mexico? I go, yes, but you don't know the history of what's going on, okay? In America, you're in America because you're from other places. You're not just American. There's nobody that was original from America. The only ones that are there, the Indians, are really not even American. Are not treated the same way, But those that want to be American can be American, You just got to be the role. Don't act foreign, just act American, And so I think it went over okay, I guess, because there was a lot of thing against Armando Muniz because he was representing the U.S. Army. I mean, the Army and the flag, And but I wasn't there to represent Mexico. I was there to represent the United States, So that's what I did,
So and you made it to the quarterfinals. You lost a controversial decision. Can you tell us a little bit about your Olympic experience and that final fight? My
Olympic experience, all it showed me, although I would have liked to have come back with a medal, of course, And but all it showed me is that if you put your mind to it and really, 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 really sacrifice, which I did, I ran like crazy. I worked out like crazy. In the gym, everybody thought I was crazy, because I would hit. Nobody. I mean, I would not. Well, even if they hit me, I would hit back. It was like, what's wrong with this guy? He's mad at everybody or what? As far as once to get in the ring, And so it showed me that could happen. That could really happen, and it happened that way for me later on, although I was much older. And but anyway, it did happen for a reason. And when I fought Nápoles for the world title, So.
Yeah. All right. So, did you turn pro right after the Olympics, or you probably couldn't because you still had the military?
No. I had to spend 24 months in there. So as it is, because I was going into school, they have a thing that if you can register for school within 3 days of your exit, you can get out 3 days early. So I did that. I went. I was going to go finish college. I couldn't go back to UCLA because I wasn't going to wrestle for them. So I went back to Cal State LA. I wasn't going to do anything for them, so I just as a student. So so I just took advantage of the fact that there's a VA. I mean we call it the veterans get to go to school.
Oh, the GI Bill.
GI Bill, yeah. So I was making like $300 a month about, and that really helped. That's what I got through, especially the first. And I got out of the Army and I turned pro, and so it took me about a month to get going to turn pro, And
so what was what do you remember about your pro debut?
And that I wanted to happen last year, and there in the LA area at the Olympic Auditorium, Jimmy Lennon was a renowned announcer, and he I don't know, he took a liking to me anyway, but he introduced me as an amateur years before. At the Olympic Auditorium, they used to have amateur fights along with the professional fights on TV. And they did it for years and years and years. And I happened to do about 13, 14, 15 fights at the Olympic Auditorium prior to going in the Army, And so when I returned from the Army, it's announced, and coming back from Army service, is Armando Muniz, outstanding welterweight in the amateurs, is now going to go for his first pro fight, Well, believe it or not, that drew a few more people into the arena, and they want to see Armando Muniz fight, That really helped me with the Olympic Auditorium, of course, And then, as you know, in pro, it's who you bring in, not how much you give out in money-wise, So if you can bring in people, you can actually ask for a bigger pay, So
yeah, and
anyway.
the Olympic Auditorium is one of the most historic boxing venues in the history of boxing. What was it like to fight at the old auditorium?
Well, and before going to fight there, I mean, I had read about it, and I was like, it was kind of like in awe, and I did it. But while you were in awe, I did it. And it was just terrific. I started knowing all the trainers that train pros there, and I got to know them all. I see them in my sleep all the time. The people that I knew their names just by never met them, but I knew their names because everybody knew who they were. It was incredible. So it was great. I mean, but one of those things that happen when you set up yourself to do what you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you the difference.
Yeah, and I know you had some problems. You were kicked out of the auditorium after your 13th fight, which was a draw against Oscar Alvarado.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about Eileen Eaton?
Oh, yeah. Well, they call her the queen of – they're more like the witch of the boxing game. I mean, I hate to say it.
You're not the first person that's told me that. That's why I asked.
If Mike LaBelle is listening, I'm sorry, guy. That's the way it is,
Yeah.
Her son. Anyway – no, I fought there, and first time in my life, I fight for the percentage of the gate, not for a guarantee. Like normally you get a $5,000 guarantee, or in this case, first time ever, I would make more than $5,000, right? So she goes, you either do that, or you can fight for your percentage of the gate. And so my manager and I were talking, and he said it's going to draw some people, Armando, because I'm Oscar Alvarado. He's rated fourth in the world, and here you are coming in. And you're from L.A., and the people from L.A. are going to come back you up, and blah, 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 So we went for a percentage of the gate, okay? And anyway, and during all this time I started school, I started boxing. I'm also going to Cal State L.A. I'm doing 12, 15 units a quarter, and so on. Somehow or another, I fit it in, and go to the gym, I work hard, and I run every morning and stuff like that. So we had the fight with Alvarado, and it's a toe-to-toe for 10 rounds. Toe-to-toe for 10 rounds. I have that's the best decision they could have given, although I think it would have been nice if I won. But anyway, the good thing that I liked more than anything is that the arena was like 80% full, right? Maybe 85% full. But it was a good feeling because I'm getting 25% of that, right? Okay, now, at the Olympic Auditorium, regularly they would charge $10 ringside and $5 general, right? Whenever the fight's off TV, and this fight was off TV because it draws more people, right? Then the ringside seats go up to say $20, $25, and then the general goes to $10. So there's a new set out of a new sum of total tickets sold and total money brought in. Okay, so I just figured out $10 and $25. But let's say $15 a ticket, maybe. A low range, I think, and multiply that by, say, 7,000, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Well, she said, according to the regular thing, that there was only 4,200. There was 4,200 paying customers, and the first thing I said was, that's a bunch of bullshit. There was at least 7,000-8,000 people out there,
Yeah.
And I don't know how she had somebody working with her, I guess, But so anyway, so I tell my manager, hey, Jake, this is not right. He goes, what is it? Well, how many people were out there? Oh, hell, it was full. Well, wasn't full. It was a few thousand less, But it wasn't 4,200 people, So I'm looking at the payout sheet, and then I read on there, free tickets for the press, 95 or 75 free tickets, right? And I go, hey, there ain't that many press guys here in the whole city of LA, What the hell is going on? Anyway, so I was kind of sharp on that one there, and I said, we got it. This is not good. He goes, just go ahead, take the check, and tomorrow I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna blow her head out. You watch. So he did come back the next day, and he was saying, you cheated my fighter, and she said, you're full of crap, Jake Horn. You more than anybody else. You've been here before. You know I didn't do that. You damn right you did. I know, very good. Yeah. Anyway, so he said, she said to him, take your stupid little Mexican fighter out of here. He'll never fight in L.A. again. And if it hadn't been for Don Frazier restarting fight business, I would never have fought in L.A. again.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about Jake. You want to talk about Jake Horn, your manager?
Jake Horn was just a nice guy who used to manage boxers back in the 50s, and he liked boxing. He was a manager of a few fighters. No big names, but he was a manager. He knew the ropes, right? So I'm in high school, and they're having a boxing event at school there, and his son, who wrestled together on the same wrestling team, he goes, "Hey, Dad, Armando Muniz is gonna fight. He used to fight. He wants to know if you think he might be good for the amateurs." And so that was it, to see the fight. And the next day he goes, "Armando, when can I pick up to go to the gym?" Great, this is terrific, terrific, you know. So he started taking me to the gym every day. Pick me up, go to the gym, and that was it. That's what managers do, right? And so, and that's what Jake did for years. He did that, you know. And anyway, so he was just a good guy, and he cared about me, and he well, I was like one of his sons, you know. Jay Horn and I still talk about those days, you know. So.
All right. After the Alvarado fight, I think the win that really put you on the map, put you in the ratings, was the NABF welterweight title win over Clyde Gray. What do you remember about that night?
I remember it was a tough fight. He was a good boxer, but the only way I could penetrate the skill that he has was to just keep going at him. I'll push you back to be a punch you back, but if the bag keeps coming at you, you're gonna get tired of hitting it, right? And Clyde Gray got tired of hitting me, I guess, you know. And I caught him with a few good shots also in the process. So, sometime in the ninth round, in the beginning of the ninth round, I caught up a 5-punch combination. You know, left, right, and a hook, and boom, down he goes. You know. So it was perfect. It was picture perfect. It was like a story ending thing. You know, it was great.
Yeah, and then I think after that you go to Puerto Rico, fight Angel Espada, who was a hell of a fighter. You lost a controversial decision there. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, you know, it's like I should have known before. Nobody ever told me that boxing is this way. You know, it was that way then already. You know, but it's worse now. You know. I
think it's always been that way, though.
Yeah, but you're right. It's always been that way. You know. Anyway, so Angel Espada is obviously he's a hometown hero, right? So Armando Muniz from out of town is gonna come in and beat him. Anyway, the funny part about it is I told him his promoter there, who was also part manager, this is not right. I go, what do you mean this is not right? There's no way you're gonna come into Puerto Rico here in San Juan and beat our guy. No way. I go, so in other words, you're just asking me to. I mean, you asked me to kind of fight him and then take the money and go and leave and forget about the decision. Yeah, that's right, because you can't win. You can't win here. You're telling me I can't win. You cannot win here. And so, and I could tell because in the ninth round, he was tired. He was ready to fall down. Matter of fact, I knocked him down in the last part of the ninth round. And he got up, and we were still slugging away. But the next round, he comes out, and he's like, whoa, what the hell happened to this guy, you know? A raging bull, you know. Well, he goes, you know, you didn't notice that, but we gave him a little something there in the corner, you know. And he's laughing. You know, when you have the advantage, we have the advantage here. Yeah. You know? And he knows there's nobody going to stop him because he's the main guy there, you know. So anyway,
But after that controversial loss, then I think you beat a lot of people. You beat the number one contender, Hedgeman Lewis, and I think people forget that Lewis wasn't he managed by Ryan O'Neal?
Yeah, he was.
I thought that was right. I think it's the only fighter that Ryan O'Neal ever managed because I know that he was in that boxing movie, The Main Event, with Barbra Streisand in the late 90s. But you want to talk a little bit about the win over Lewis? Yeah,
it was a great win for me. It was the same old thing, you know. I just went forward. It was like the fight that I had in El Paso. The guy was boxing, hitting me, but I'm going forward. And in the pros, of course, when you hit the guy, the punches count, you know. By that time, I had learned how to hit harder and stuff. And but Lewis was sturdy and he was strong, but he was a good boxer. And he hit me a few times and stuff, you know. But I think if you were to add him up, I hit him 10 times to his 5 or to his 7, you know, as far as the punches go, you know. And then that was, like, you're right. That was Ryan O'Neal's first go at it. And every time I see him now, he goes, "Yeah, you be my fighter." You be my fighter.
So that was a huge win. You're training to fight somebody else, and then all of a sudden you get a call offering you the fight with Jose Napoles. I mean, what was that? That had to be an amazing feeling.
That was that was the happiest in my life. my wife will tell you that day that I was jumping around like crazy. I was like a little kid with an ice cream, you know. And when my manager called me back, and he said, "Hey, Armando, tomorrow morning we're gonna meet me at the airport at 8:00 in the morning. We're gonna leave for Mexico City to sign the papers." And they said yes. I said yes. You know. So it was great. It was beautiful, you know. Now I didn't know the odds were going to be that much against me, but well, what the heck, you know? That's the way it is, you know. I fought for the world title, you know. And so,
yeah, but I'll tell you, that was one of the worst robberies in boxing history. If you watch
tell
it,
me.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. The thing is, how in the world can they justify what they did? How? I mean, I hear it, you know. Oh, here, I'll tell you this. When I fought Carlos Palomino again for the second time, for the first time, my manager, by that time it was Vic Weiss. Jake Horn was getting sick and doing whatever. So Vic was my manager. He was he was Jerry Jarkanian's manager also. A couple of other athletes. He was a manager for them, right? And sports.
Yeah.
Sports management. So he was for me a boxing. He loved boxing, Vic, you know, businessman. And he knew about Suleiman, right? The president of the World Boxing Council.
Yeah, Jose Suleiman.
Call him up and say, "Hey, listen, we're going to fight for the world title. You want to come in early or whatever, when I'll fix you up in Vegas for a couple of days, you know, before the fight, if you want, or a week, you know." And so he picked a week, and so for a week he was there, you know. So a few days earlier before the fight, I'm there with my manager, and there's Suleiman, right? And I walked in on him without knowing Suleiman was there, and he goes, "Oh, Armando, how are you? How you doing? What are you doing here?" I go, "No, I'm just going by. I'm going to a meeting, and I have to go meet somebody, and I thought I'd come and see and say hello to you guys, to you." And he goes, "Well, you know what? I just got a phone call. I got to answer the phone. Stay here with Mr. Suleiman, and then and then we'll talk later on." So then I'm sitting there and think, what the hell am I going to say? Oh. And I go, Mr. Suleiman, in Spanish, I go, "You and I were at the same place at the same time for the same event 2 years ago in Acapulco, March 29th. I even said 9:30 at night, 8:30 at night, whatever. And the fight ended because supposedly I headbutted him, supposedly. Okay? And that's what they call a decision, a technical decision. And you know, why did I lose this fight? You know? Just tell me the truth now, because I don't want to die not knowing that I really won, you know. Then he goes, "Armando, mantequilla, my compadre, I have to help him. You understand?" And I go, "Oh, sure, my life's worth shit." Yeah, of course, you know.
Yeah.
I ain't worth the crap, you know. So
because you dominated the fight, and then the worst part was he repeatedly hit you low, especially I think it was the 10th or 11th round, and was never even warned for it.
Yeah, in the 11th round. Oh, my God. My manager said, "Why in the hell don't you hit him back?" I go, "They're trying to make me do something so they can, what do you call it, so they can...
so they could disqualify you.
Disqualify me, exactly, yeah. So anyway...
Or take enough points away so they can make the decision in his favor.
Well, he never took points away as far as that goes, as far as I saw him taking points away. He never said that from anybody, not or even me. When one time he said, "Hey, watch your head," you know. I go, "What? Watch my head?" Well, have them watch the head, you know. You know.
Yeah, but it was just I just wanted to bring it up because because I was probably on like 4 or 5 when it happened, but I've seen the film since then, and it still boggles my mind they could do that and get away with it. You guys had a rematch a little while later. You want to talk about the rematch, which was a great fight also?
I won't deny it that I lost that fight. I did lose the fight, especially the last couple rounds. But anyway, the first time I've ever fought for 15 rounds at 7,500 feet altitude, you know. I did it at the Olympics, but it was only 3 rounds. It was nothing, you know. Yeah. But anyway, so this is that. So and he caught me in the 8th round with a left hook, and I went down, and I get up, and I want to fight back, and I did fight back, you know. And I did fight back, and he was cut up pretty bad at the last part of the fight, but I knew they wouldn't do anything, and they didn't, you know. What pissed me off, the next fight he had with John Stracey, he got a little cut on the eyebrow, a little cut, boom, fight's over. We went back to KO. And I go, what the hell did I do to deserve this, you know? Jeez, you know, incredible, just totally incredible. you know. And so anyway, so there it is.
Yeah. After that, you got four shots at the title. You talked about against Carlos Palomino. Both fights were great fights. You want to talk a little bit about the first fight?
Yeah. Before I forget the Naples fight, an interesting thing. My wife, they were ringside, right? And the president of Mexico, at that time I forget who it was, but his brother was sitting right next to her, behind her. He pulls out off his wrist a what's the name of the watch? Rolex watch, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, "Here, give this to your husband. He's a brave man." Okay. And she goes, "Oh." And she didn't know what it was, a Rolex, until she later on, of course. Huh? But anyway, so that happened, and actually the Rolex didn't mean a lot to me. Really, it was just a very expensive watch that didn't mean a lot to me. Huh?
Yeah, and Palomino, I think it was the only time in boxing history where two college graduates actually fought for a world title. I think it's still like that.
Exactly. I don't think it has been replicated yet.
Yeah, and that has to be something that gives you a source of pride just outside of even the boxing.
Okay. Yes, huh? Yes.
And you finished up your career against Sugar Ray Leonard. That was in 1978, I believe. You want to talk a little bit about Ray Leonard?
1978. I should have maybe asked my manager to make it a little longer so I could train longer. But I was already 34. Why extend it? I go. And I had just earlier in the year, I had a community event that I did, you know. I ran for state assembly.
Yeah.
Against an incumbent here in the Montebello area, you know. And it was a hell of a race. But I took second. You know? I didn't win the race, you know. So that's the name of the game, you know. It just. But you know what? I have to tell you this. I really am I'm happy that everything has turned out okay for me. Okay. I got my wife. I got my kids. I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm happy and I'm complete. I'm totally, you know. So thank God that the learning I did helped me keep my brain together, you know. So.
All right. So after you retired in 1978, was it hard to make the transition from being a professional athlete to, I guess, normal life?
I got used to being recognized every now and then. You know, I became a teacher. Well, first I sold real estate for a couple of years, and that didn't work out too well. So I became a teacher, and I had my degree already. So I started teaching, and it was not out of line. I was used to that. All the parents would know, "Hey, I know who you are." I go, "Are you teaching?" I go, "Yeah, I'm teaching now. Yeah, I haven't been a teacher real long, but so if your kid complains, no, don't worry. You just tell my kid to do what you say, or I'll kick his ass." You know. But anyway, and then I went on to high school and taught high school, and a lot of parents remember, "Hey, aren't you the Armando Muniz used to be a fighter?" I go, "Yes, I was." Thank you for remembering. So anyway,
they won't give you as much crap then.
Well, yeah. After a while, the kids get to know you and stuff. You know, they begin to say, "Well, you're just an old man anyway." So you know. Yeah.
All right. So, what occupies your time these days?
Well, now that I don't teach anymore, this is the way I've been for the last 8 years. I try and stay busy. I'm in the Lions Club. I work with a gym here in Riverside where the kids have the county helps us out with it, you know. So I'm president of the board there for the gym, and we help kids USA boxing, you know, the amateur boxing. So
yeah.
We try and get some kids to qualify for the Golden Gloves or the USA trials and stuff like that, you know, USA national trials, you know. So, and that's it. So I guess my life has been boxing, and so I'll never leave it. But every now and then I get maybe I should turn to something else, you know. But I've been told by a number of people, "You're too old to be doing this. You're too old to be doing this. You're too old for this. You're too old for that." And I go, "Oh shoot, it's like every now and then I get up and I go, "Oh," and I go, "Maybe I am too old." You know?
Yeah, I think we all do that past the age of 40, no matter what we do, Armando. Let's see.
Oh.
It just gets a little worse if you get hit for a living.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I agree with that. I totally agree with that because they're doing that for the football players. You know, they're having them check for, you know, concussions and stuff like that. I totally agree. And the doctor told me, "Yeah, and you just took them a lot harder, a lot closer, and so even you're at risk." I go, "Yeah, I'm sure it's always been that way, you know." So
yeah.
Anyway, so that's it right there. I want to be known as a guy that didn't get hurt that much by it, you know.
All right. So do you still follow boxing?
Oh yeah. Every time I can, big fights and stuff, you know.
So who are some of I mean, what was your take on the Canelo Alvarez and Cesar Chavez Jr. fight?
Well, you know, it's like it's okay. Real quickly, Canelo and Chavez, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Chavez was always he fought after his dad's name, but he never trained like his dad. He never showed up like his dad. Okay, and so I thought to myself, it ain't gonna happen overnight that he'll do that difference, you know. And the other Canelo, he's well trained. He wants to be in shape, and he wants to win fights. So he has a better chance, and he did. I picked Canelo over him, you know. Everybody was telling me, you're not. It's wrong. Chavez is going to win, you know.
Well, my take on it was this. I mean, number one, Canelo's been fighting and training since he was 4 or 5 years old. Chavez was kind of the guy that goes to school and doesn't pay attention, doesn't do any classwork, and then all of a sudden he wants to study for the final exam. But the problem is he didn't learn enough in between there to actually be able to pass the final exam, no matter how hard he studies in the last week or two.
Yeah. Yes. I agree with that. That's a good comparison there, too. Yeah.
So do you give Canelo a shot against Triple G?
That's going to be tough. Triple G is an animal, okay? And, I mean, he might have a shot, but Triple G has already shown that he can take a few shots. You know? He hasn't been hit solid by anybody. And for Canelo to hit him solid, it's going to take a little bit of a doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's possible.
Well, Armando, it was great having you on the show today. We'd love to have you back sometime.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I hope I didn't gobble too much here. You know?
No, you were fine. I hope I didn't.
Yeah. No, really,
all right. Thanks.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad to be on the air. And hello to everybody out there, and good luck.
All right. Thanks a lot, Armando.
Thank you, Mike. Bye.
All right, everybody. I want to remind you to check out The Grueling Truth at thegruelingtruth.net. You can make sure you follow our sponsors, Replenishing Care Inc. Technologies, and Gridiron Mo. So, once again, for Armando Muniz, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.